I want to ask you all a question. Like, have you ever faced like any difficult problems, any difficult questions, where you know the answer is right there, but you just can't get it? And why is it that if you take a little break and then return to the question, the answer pops right up? Remember when Steve Jobs was kicked out from his own company? His graph started to go like this. Right? Then he took a little break, explored countries, created startups, and all of a sudden his graph started to go like this. Why? Now, Archimedes created one of the greatest theories in physics while he was sitting and chilling in his bathroom. And Einstein created some great thought experiments while he was sitting near a window, taking a break from his routine. Why? I mean, what is up with this break? Like, why do taking these breaks bring in distinct transformations? Now, I had no clue, but I wanted to explore that. So, I'm 19 years old, and last year I completed high school. And when I did that, I took one of the most riskiest decisions of my life. So what I was seeing was that after high school, everyone was rushing towards college. There was school, exams, college. And everyone ended up taking the same subjects they had in school and never got a chance to explore something new, something like entrepreneurship, behavioral economics, computer programming, etc., etc. And for me, I wanted to change that. I wanted to explore, take risks, and push my thinking forward. So what I did was I gathered up everyone. I gathered up my parents, my mentors, my teachers, all of them. And I told them, you know what? I'm taking a break. I'm not studying for a year. And what was exciting wasn't the fact that I was taking a break, but the fact that when they heard this, their reaction totally changed from something like this to this. And so I took the gap year anyway. And the gap year allowed me to do a lot of things that I couldn't. It allowed me to do what I love doing, like computer programming. So I'm a self-taught computer programmer, and I started when I was in 6th grade. And in the gap year, I got a space to leverage my thinking in computer programming. Right? So I ended up creating a startup called SourceNet, where I created about 200 different computer programs. And we made things like simple mobile apps to crazy things, like converting a paper into a touchscreen, or a computer programming language, or an artificial intelligence system, and a 3D chocolate printer. So a 3D printer prints out objects, but hey, who likes objects? So we created a 3D chocolate printer that printed out chocolate, because hey, who doesn't like chocolate? And with this, we realized that we're getting so many downloads on SourceNet. We ended up having 1.2 million users worldwide using SourceNet softwares. And while all of this was really fascinating, I realized that someone sitting 100 miles away from me wouldn't actually care about the software that I make, until and unless that person is affected by that. So I asked myself an interesting question. I asked myself, am I impacting the lives of people around me? Right? And one of the things that I started to understand from it was that to bring out this impact, one of the biggest barriers that a lot of people have is language. Right? Now imagine if I only knew Hindi, and if you only knew English, it'll be a nightmare for us to communicate. And a lot of computer programming happens in English only. Right? A lot of documentation is in English, and it becomes a problem for people from outside, from people who are not native English speakers. So what I did was I ended up creating Korka. So Korka is a platform for people to build their own code interpreters through which anyone can program in their own natural language. In a very short term, it means that now I can write down codes in the language I speak at home. Now I can write computer programming in the language I speak at home. And this is really exciting, because with this what's happening is that we're trying to break the barrier of language between computers and programming. We're trying to dismantle the hyped intimidation for computer programming that has been risen. And so what I did was, have a look at this. This is a little code called print hello world. It prints out the word hello world on your PC. Right? So imagine a Spanish guy who has no clue what this looks like can now write down this code in Spanish as impreso, hello world. Or a Hindi guy can write it down in Hindi as chap, hello world. Right? Also, check this out. This is a code written by one of my cousins. It's a Facebook Messenger code which allows you to send a message to all of your Facebook friends. Right? All you have to do is put in the Facebook ID, the password, and the message you want to send. And now, he rewrote the code in Hindi, which looked like this. So now the Hindi code, Ka Babua, allows you to send a message to all of your Facebook friends saying, hey man, what's up? And this is where it gets exciting. Check this out. This is a block of code from an artificial intelligence system written in Hindi by a Hindi teacher. And you see what's happening here. The barriers of language are being broken. People are coding in the language they speak at their home, right? So now someone from France can code in French, right? Someone from Spain can code in Spanish. And someone from India, I mean, Indians can code in like 100 different languages. That's a different thing. And, everyone can code in their languages, even these guys, right? Now, I don't know who these guys are, like what these things are. But if I ever knew what language they spoke, I'm pretty sure we would be able to code in that. So, while I was building all of these softwares, I realized that my softwares are making lives easier for people. Good. But is it allowing people to leverage their thinking? Right? The greatest of greatest products never make your lives easy. No. They allow you to leverage your thinking. Think of Google. Google never made your life easy. It allowed you to leverage your thought process and thinking by providing information on your fingertips. And to do that, I didn't want to reinvent Google. But what I wanted to do was just the same. And I ended up creating Circuitrix. So Circuitrix is a do-it-yourself kit-making company that allows people, and especially kids, to interact with hands-on interactive learning and build new things. It's our first kit called Scribble Your Circuits, allowed kids to see things differently. So now, a pencil wasn't just a pencil. There was a whole lot of circuit flowing inside it. And what the kids can do now is that they can use that pencil to draw out their own working electrical circuits. So what kids did was they ended up making things like a greeting card. All they have to do is draw out a line and place a little bulb that lights up, right? They ended up making crazy things like a guitar. So you don't need strings to make a guitar. All you have to do is take up a pencil and draw out lines, and it works. And all of this was fascinating. And with this, we ended up collaborating with Intel Education India to reach out to 100 schools across India with 48 volunteers all over. Now, while we were helping kids out, we realized whatever we did, it wasn't about the product we made. It wasn't about the companies we partnered up with. It wasn't about the profits we're making, although that was fun. But what it was about at the core was making people happy, allowing them to leverage their potential. So when a kid took up a pencil and it drew out a pencil line and created a circuit, the bulb wasn't the only thing that lit up. And that was more powerful than anything we could ever create. Yes. So these are a few pictures. We went out on Circuitrix. You can see kids, they are happy, they are curious, some are very geeky, some are really, really having fun, and these guys are just like crazy. And when I look back to my gap year, I come to realize that, I went from being a programmer to an artist, to a designer, to an entrepreneur, to an educator, and it was amazing. As a programmer, I impacted lives, and that was awesome. As an artist and a designer, I created products that I loved. As an entrepreneur, I dealt with companies I could never possibly imagine. And as an educator, I saw the infinite potential we all hold, blended with the emotion of learning. And all of it because I was able to detach myself from institutions, subjects, and labels. Right? We all run behind labels, right? We have to be an engineer, we have to be a doctor, we have to have something. I say, why? Think of a life without labels, right? You can be an engineer, a behavioral economist, an actor, all of it at once. How exciting would that become? And with everything that I did in the gap year, I thought of the purpose, not the label. Because my life isn't meant to be put in that one-word description, right? And all of it started by taking a break. Now, taking a break didn't mean that I will be, making the next Apple or the next Archimedes theory or things like that. But it meant that I'll get a space to explore myself and leverage the kind of thoughts that I create for myself. And that was amazing. And at that point, while I was taking a break, not while I was utilizing my time very nicely, while I was taking a break, I realized that time is very precious. It's like our God-gifted currency. So we don't want to waste it doing something everyone has been doing. And so one thing I tell everyone is that, go out, explore, and see what kind of things are happening in the world. Indulge yourself and see where the world takes you. Because if that happens, it will transform the way you live, right? Because if a little box of pencil and paper can bring happiness on thousands of faces, and a little bit of code can create impact in so much lives, imagine how the world would transform if everyone started to challenge their routine. That's it. Thank you.